Good evening, everyone. We will just give 30 seconds for everyone to connect.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Dipti. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
Amazing.
Good evening.
So we'll go ahead and get started. We are just at the top of the hour and half an hour, actually, for India. So welcome, everyone, on behalf of the International Coaching Federation, Talent at Work, and the National HRD Network. It is our pleasure to welcome you all in our first launch webinar. And it is going to be a great, interesting topic. It's the first time as ICF and NHRDN, we are launching this webinar in partnership to bring you the best of the coaching information and best from the coaching world right to your doorstep. And a special thanks to the National HRD Network for making sure that this is done, for inviting ICF here. And as the co-CEO of Talent at Work here, who are the representatives of ICF in India, it is my great pleasure to welcome everyone here. And with no further delay, let me first thank and introduce Mr. Prem Singh Ji. Thank you very much, Prem Singh Ji, for making sure that this happens. The most milestone MOU between NHRDN and ICF took place. And as we all know, Mr. Prem Singh is the honorable, respected national president of NHRDN, as well as the president and Group CHRO for JK Group. So thank you very much, Mr. Prem Singh Ji. I will hand it over to you to introduce Robert Garcia Magda, and we'll let you take over that session from us. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to have ICF as our partners. And it was about 5-6 months ago that we signed a MOU with ICF to bring out a lot of opportunities of learning, networking, and most importantly, making a positive difference to the human capital through coaching. Coaching as a tool has been gaining a lot of significance, particularly in India, because it's a tool which has been tried across cultures, across geographies, and it has proven to be an extremely effective tool for leadership development. Particularly in JK organization, we have seen it ourselves making a difference to the organization, and as National HRD Network, we are indeed delighted to have ICF partnering with us and bringing a lot of value to the HR leaders and practitioners in the country in the form of coaching as a tool for development. This is a interactive session, and I'm delighted to have Magda and Robert with us from ICF. Thank you, Robert and Magda, for joining us. The session is going to be in the interactive format. There would be questions which will be put up by Robert, and with the facilitation of Robert, both Magda and myself will try and share our experiences. Idea is not to really conduct the session as a formal training, but really bring experiences to the table so that audience on this call get some useful insights. So with this, I would now request Robert to take the session forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prem Singh Ji. It's a pleasure to be here. I am Vice President of ICF Coaching in Organizations. Thank you for the invitation and for the collaboration. I am joined by our CEO, ICF CEO, Magda Mook. and we are really thrilled to be here and certainly solidify our partnership and collaboration with NHRD. So today, our topic will be unveiling the nuances of coaching versus mentoring for business growth. We will be making distinctions between coaching, which focuses on goal attainment and skill enhancement through structured sessions and accountability, while mentoring typically fosters long-term relationships focused more on development and career guidance. Coaches facilitate discussions towards defined objectives, while mentors offer typically wisdom, support. Organizations can cultivate a dynamic ecosystem of talent development, driving performance innovation and sustainable growth. Now I'd like to turn to our panelists to understand the significance of coaching as an organizational culture. So the first question I'd like Mr. Prinsing to tell us, how is coaching perceived throughout India? And is there a clear understanding of the differences between coaching and mentoring?
Okay, well, a very important question, Robert. Thank you so much for asking that. Well, yes and no is the short answer to the question whether there is a common understanding of the difference between coaching and mentoring. Let me now elaborate. Very few organizations who have been practicing coaching, few leaders who have been practicing coaching, mentoring, etc., they do understand the finer nuances, the differences between coaching, mentoring, and therefore there is the appreciation of the finer nuances of both. However, in large number of organizations, I must say that the understanding is quite varied. There are organizations where coaching, mentoring, guiding, training, advising, these are terms which are used interchangeable manner. And quite often, people would use coaching and it would end up becoming mentoring and vice versa. However, having said this, the appreciation of the finer nuances and the differences is growing, and people are appreciating that coaching is not mentoring. Coaching is something which enables people to discover their own potential and help them realize their potential so that they can demonstrate their competencies on the job and they can shine. So it's not so much of guiding and telling people, it's more about asking insightful questions so that people are able to discover their own true potential. So a good part is that the understanding is growing, but as you can imagine, it takes time, and but people are appreciating the value of coaching as a practice.
Well, thank you, and that's wonderful to hear. I think that both Magda and I make lots of presentations, meet with lots of individuals throughout the world, and you know, I'd like to turn to Magda Mook now to tell us, you know, how is the International Coaching Federation defining coaching, and for some perspective from a global market perspective, Magda.
Thank you, Robert, and I am delighted to be here representing ICF and delighted to be part of this inaugural webinar for our two organizations under our MOU. ICF, many of you may know, exists since 1995. Next year, we will be celebrating our 30th anniversary of existence. And yet I've been with the organization for a long time. Much to previous question, for the longest time there was and still is some collapse of the terms coaching and mentoring. And I do remember that when I first joined ICF almost 20 years ago, we were defining coaching by what it was not, rather than having a crisp definition of what coaching was. Fortunately, since then, we do have a definition of coaching, which is partnering with individuals or teams in a thought-provoking manner so that, as Mr. Prem said, they can reach their fullest professional or personal levels of practice and performance. Well, ICF prides itself from being a very global organization. We have members in 170 countries. Our growth in India is just spectacular, and this is very much embraced by ICF. So we pay keen attention to researching the marketplace. So from the research, we know PricewaterhouseCoopers is our main partner in those market studies. So from those studies with PwC, we know that the awareness of coaching in India is quite high and growing. And yet, again, to what Mr. Prem Singh said, many times when people are asked for the definition, they would mistake coaching for mentoring or vice versa. Which is important that we do have that distinction for two reasons. Both modalities are very important. Both modalities are occasionally more appropriate for an individual, and both modalities can in fact operate in concert. There is absolutely no problem if a person is working with the coach and also has a mentor, as long as the ones offering the service and the ones receiving the service understand that distinction, and as long as they can then better articulate which one, and then maybe it is training, which one is most appropriate for them. I think that for HR professionals, it is especially important to know the distinction. You know, I know the title of our session is Nuance, and I would say it's a little more than nuance. It is a distinction, and Robert spoke to it, Mr. Prem spoke to it, so that HR professionals can be in the best position to support individuals in their organizations by helping them understand those differences and helping them create a structure and a program that would be best for them. So thank you for the topic, and thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit more about it.
Wonderful. That's great. And now I'd like to move to one of my favorite topics, which is implementing coaching culture within organizations. ICF has 6 distinct family organizations, and specifically ICF coaching and organizations really supports the growth of a coaching culture within organizations. So working with senior leaders in human resources, as Magda was saying, also working with managers and leaders to use coaching skills. So I'd like to really talk a little about what are some of the challenges that employees and organizations are facing. Is it leadership changes, new technology? Certainly, we know that AI is prevalent in so many ways. And what about the culture? Could you tell me a little, Mr. Prem Singh? Let's talk to you. What do you see in organizations as you're working with HR professionals, and what are some of those challenges that they face?
Okay, so of late, there have been a couple of challenges that have been brought to the fore, particularly post-COVID. What has happened is 2 set of changes. Number one, post-COVID, there has been a significant growth in almost every sector, and therefore that has brought enormous amount of pressure. on the companies to perform and to deliver against demanding targets. Obviously, it does bring its own challenges on the leadership as well. So that's number one. Number two, there has been a very high focus on digital transformation, AI, machine learning, advanced data science, etc. So there is a increasing need to embrace these technologies and make sure that the companies are deploying these tools in the organizations. So that generates another set of pressure and obviously the leadership challenges which are related to that. Third, and this is particularly true of a large economy like India. Well, India is the most populous country, very young country. Our median age is just about 28 and a half years. And there is a large number of young, ambitious men and women demanding as customers. These demanding customers create yet another set of challenges for the company as well as for the leadership. So what it means is the leadership teams need to be constantly responding to these challenges and therefore raising the bar in terms of their performance, higher level of delivery, higher level of competencies, and being extremely responsive to the changes taking place in the environment and being extremely adaptive. At the same time, also being extremely agile and entrepreneurial in their approach. The changes which have occurred after COVID have brought in these challenges in a much more significant manner. And therefore, constant renewal, constant focus on leadership development is something that is extremely critical. Personally, what I have seen is that is where the tools like coaching become very helpful because it's non-defensive, it's enabling, it's one-to-one, and most importantly, it builds in intrinsic competencies of the individual because it is conducted in a very non-defensive environment in terms of one-to-one sessions. Therefore, it helps individuals to discover their latent potential and realize their real talent which they have, which they can bring to the table in terms of raising the bar of their delivery. I think that is where, as an organization at JK Group, we have realized that it really helps the leaders to raise the bar of their delivery. So while there are challenges, but I think tools like coaching and mentoring are a great help to navigate the way through these turbulent times.
Wonderful. So leadership development, performance management, those are all very real challenges. And then the changes that we are experiencing globally. Magda, I'd like your perspective on what are some of the insights from our research. What are you seeing that organizations are facing, and how can coaching help?
Definitely the three challenges that Mr. Singh was mentioning are very common, and we hear them throughout the entire universe, I'll say. The pace of change never slowing down, the younger generations becoming the greatest percentage of workforce, and purchasing power, which brings that customer positioning to the fold. And also the fact that there is a demand on different type of leadership, not only from those younger people joining organizations now, but also from the established established leaders that probably are observing that the old way of leading is just not as effective, and perhaps even maybe met with some pushback and opposition. What is so great about coaching is that coaching can be offered to those established leaders. They have to find their way of still being the leader, but being a more inclusive leader, being a leader with a certain level of vulnerability, being a leader who's not afraid of the digital changes happening around us, and not being afraid of bringing artificial intelligence and technology for the effectiveness and efficiency. So this is support for the established leader, but also, as funny as it might sound, coaching can help those leaders being better mentors. Coaching can allow people find their special way of being a mentor for the younger generations coming to the fold. In strong coaching cultures, how ICF define them anyway, we very strongly believe that internal coaching, external coaching, leaders and managers using coaching skills, those modalities should be utilized, and there are very good reasons for utilizing either one of them or all three combined. But probably one of the most important element of strong coaching culture is that people within the organization have access to coaching. So it's not reserved only to the highest level of organization, but it could be applied for those high potentials, for those people who may be for the first time entering a managerial position, or those who are transitioning within the organization. And JK, I was so excited when I first met Mr. Singh, because JK received ICF's award for organizations utilizing coaching for its strategic objectives several years back. And so it's clearly a very good example of a modern organization that early on adopted coaching with very, very significant and very glad to hear very positive impact.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Magda, tell us a little more about any outcomes or success stories that you've seen. You mentioned that we have the ICF Coaching Impact Awards for organizations, and we've seen tremendous impact that coaching is having. Can you share some of those results and what you're seeing?
Sure. Yes, we're very proud of our program, of our ICF Impact Award, which truly showcases the strategic use of coaching within organizations. As those of you familiar with coaching, of course, know, coaching relationship is established with a goal for it. And those goals may vary quite significantly from person to person or organization to organization. Some may be about better communication. Some may be about better preparation for leadership position. Some may be about financial impact at the end of the engagement. It very well may be, again, we're talking about war on talent still. It may be about better retention and better attraction. So we have several very different examples of organizations, small and large, public and private, universities, governmental organizations that adapted coaching for the goals that were most important to them. The most recent recipient of the award, AstraZeneca, very global organization again, they had fantastic opportunity to have a retention of their physicians, and that was Cleveland Clinic. I'm sorry, Cleveland Clinic a couple of years ago. They retained their physicians and therefore saved millions. I mean tens of millions of dollars for not having to retrain. AstraZeneca also observing very significant savings and very significant greater engagement of their employees. And again, we know that lack of engagement is something that is very significantly and negatively impacting the results, including financial results of the organizations. I would invite you to go to our website, coachingfederation.org, and under awards, you can see not only the most recent recipients, but also the recipients from previous years with a little case studies that will tell you about their return on investment, return on expectation, and just heartwarming stories about how coaching changed the organizations by changing the attitudes of those who work within those organizations.
Wonderful, thanks. Yes, and those case studies are excellent. They're well written. I think that organizations that win, it's a tremendous source of pride. So we encourage everyone to visit and take a look at those, and those are available. I wanted to talk a little now about a coaching culture and how is it being viewed? Is it really an investment? So, Mr. Singh, do you believe that a coaching culture is a competitive advantage for businesses, or is it more employee wellness and welfare tool for human resources? How do you see that throughout India?
Okay, well, generally, and it may vary from organizations, industries, based upon how mature the organization is, how mature the industry is. But generally, there is a widespread belief that coaching is a developmental tool, and therefore it's an investment. There is also a widespread belief that coaching as a culture takes time to develop, to evolve. There is another belief that coaching, if this has to be successful, it has to be carried out over a period of time, and it's not practical, it's not possible to see results too soon, because it takes time for the organizations to develop a particular type of culture. More so, for the organizations to develop a coaching culture, it takes a belief, confidence in the leadership team that it is going to help. B, practice, and practice particularly at the top, at the senior level. And 3, sharing of those successful stories which have become successful, which have become effective in the organization. So once you start sharing up of the successful stories in the organizations, once you start talking about that, there is a belief that gets started to take shape that coaching makes a difference. Coaching helps. And it is then that you are able to create a widespread impression, widespread confidence in the entire organization that coaching is not something which is only for the top levels of organization. It is something which can help everyone, and it is something which can support the entire organization realize its goals. Therefore, it's a long drawn process. It does require a sustained leadership commitment. Most importantly, it requires a sustained focus. To start, when you are starting the coaching as a tool, as a practice in the organization, you might need to start small, maybe few units, maybe few departments. And when you have shown initial success and you are able to demonstrate to others, then others also start embracing. So that's how typically it happens. That's how we have been able to do it at JK organization. And our learning has been that sort of approach helps organizations better.
Wonderful, wonderful. Magda, you talked about return on investment, and you also talked about return on expectations. Can you comment a little about what we're seeing in organizations and truly are how organizations really evaluating or providing some analytics around the impact that coaching is having?
This is a very important topic because it is important to be able to show that return. Otherwise, it could be a very difficult conversation with the finance department to dedicate a line item in the budget for coaching if there is not a proof that coaching works. I so appreciate what Mr. Singh said about one has to be patient. The results are not happening overnight. Sustained results, in particular, take some time. And a couple of things about that also is that it's changing very swiftly, but the opinion about coaching at some point was that this is a remedial tool. In other words, if somebody is or has a problem, they're going to work with the coach rather than that's being truly a tool for professional development and in fact, talent development, and should be considered as a badge of honor, the fact that the organization wants to invest in an individual and therefore offering them coaching. What Prem Singh also said, which I very much appreciate, is the fact that even if only certain people at the beginning of the program are being coached, we do observe something that is called the ripple effect of coaching. In other words, when a person receives coaching, they pick up some of the way of working with others. Some they are more attuned to listening. They are more attuned to inviting other opinions. So although maybe the people on a team of that person are not being coached yet, they start receiving some benefits of their boss, their leader, absorbing some of those coaching skills and coaching approaches. That what leads me to ROI and ROE. ROI, of course, the well-known economic term about return on investment. And as I said, many times coaching, or at least initial application of coaching, is not meant to be immediately shown in a bottom line or in a financial result for the organization. This is why we've done research with, again, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and developed the index, which we call return on expectation. And that return on expectation directly leads back to that goal of coaching. As we said, better teamwork, maybe better communication, maybe quicker pace of work, whatever it might be, it needs to be very well documented, of course, at the beginning of a coaching engagement, and at the end of it. There are ways to measure the observable change in those areas that were indicated as the areas for further improvement and performance. So it is very important to be able to, at the end of the work together, to see if there was a difference. And we even went a little bit further, which is not super scientific methodology of trying to extrapolate what financial result could be observed because of that. So, for example, if the question is the communication from this person better on a scale of 1 to 5? Okay, 5. How much of that you would associate with coaching? 4. Okay, and what is the final? What is the budget? Let's say revenue produced by this department? X. Okay, let's just then see what financial gain could be associated to coaching. There are some more sophisticated models that are being developed, and again, on our website, coachingfederation.org, if you go to research portal and you put the keyword return on investment. You will see a lot of great articles, some very scientific, some more anecdotal, that will show you not only the great stories, but also great ways to create a system, and typically it's on HR to create a system of measuring and capturing that return on investment and return on expectation.
Wonderful, thank you. I encourage the participants to post their questions on our chat. And we have several questions already coming in. One of them is, what is the better mode for organizational success? Individual coaching or group, or what we call team coaching? Magda, you want to start, and then
Sure.
Mr. Singh?
Sure. Team coaching is a very fast growing phenomenon in the coaching field right now. Just last year, ICF developed and presented the competencies that are unique to team coaching, in addition to core coaching competencies. And we also offer an advanced certificate in team coaching. You know, the technical answer to this question is it depends. Sometimes it is better to work in one-on-one situation, and sometimes it makes perfect sense that the entire team is being a subject of coaching. Specifically for the teams that are working on something together, that are very vested in the outcome of whatever they are working on, and with high stakes programs. Team coaching affords them to have the same language, the same understanding, and yet again, the same attitude towards working together. So it may be very, very appropriate for the team to be receiving coaching, and at the same time within the same organization, it could be very appropriate for the individual to work with the coach. It may be a special focus. It may be also especially at the higher level of organizations, those individuals hold very confidential information, and it may not be appropriate for the entire team or a group to be privy to those conversations. So based on the circumstance, one or the other or both could be a good solution.
Great, wonderful. Mr. Singh, there is a question here. How can coaching and mentoring help in succession planning and developing high potentials?
Robert, can you repeat your question, please?
Oh, sorry.
I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Your taking.
Yeah. How can coaching and mentoring help in succession planning and developing high potentials?
Okay, thank you. So let me say this. Coaching and mentoring per se are the development tools. So they help you to develop your competencies, they help you to realize your potential, and they help you to discover your strengths, your talents, and therefore perform at a higher level of delivery. So these are tools, these are enablers. These are not the only tools which will help you to succeed in terms of your succession planning, in terms of your promotions, etc., etc. Second thing is, these are some of the tools which are important for supporting your leadership, for helping your people to realize their potential, but these are not the only ones. In fact, in many cases, putting people on the job, giving them extra assignments, putting them on the task forces, giving them opportunities to experience a different role, those are some of the very important tools for growing your people. Therefore, in a nutshell, coaching and mentoring do help you to grow, do help you to achieve succession planning, but these are not the only ones, and you have to do a lot of other things to be able to successfully execute your succession planning initiatives.
Wonderful. Yes, there's definitely a lot of work to be done, but I agree. I think coaching and mentoring can help in the development of individuals within organizations, certainly. Magda, there's a question about how is ICF different than other coaching bodies around the world, and they ask about quality, cost, and time.
There are a million ways to answer this question, I guess. So some statistics first. ICF is the largest organization coaching body in the world. We are proud home to 60,000+ members around the globe. As I said, very global, 170 countries, and we're also very proud of being the setter of standards for coaching education and ultimately for coaching credentials. We have over 52,000 holders of ICF credential, which is also quite significant because this credential is exactly the same no matter where in the world a person received or the holder of a credential may reside. We are very proud of basing our credentials on very solid research and the one that can be defended, if you will, and is aligned with the ISO standard for issuing credentials to individuals. We are a fantastic community of very, very engaged leaders. I see a couple of my colleagues from ICF India on the screen, so glad to hi Devshri, so glad to see you joining us, and what we consider ourselves doing as our vision states is that we want to see the world where coaching is instrumental to and transformative for societies. So we want to see coaching being available, accessible, coaching being from the perspective of receiving coaching, but also from a perspective of being a coach, becoming a coach. We believe that our community is the community of lifelong learners. Therefore, we are very much on the top of what's new and exciting in coaching and offering a lot of education that is free and accessible to our members, so that our members can be proud of the service they offer, and as we said, are fit for purpose and can partner with the clients in the best possible way. So we are the organization that has been growing leaps and bounds, and the fact that we are so global, I think, adds a very special flavor to ICF, because at any given time you can be in a community of your own, and you can also pick up the phone or hop on the Zoom and talk to your colleague on the other end of the world and have conversation about what's working, what's not working, what kind of advice and support could you give me as I'm maybe struggling with, or just trying to think about something that may be a little risky or maybe a little different, and would love that to hear the voice of somebody else in that conversation. I hope I
Wonderful.
at least attempted
Yes,
to
thank
answer
you.
this question.
Thank you. I think you did a great job of really defining the benefits, and I think the community and the network is a great benefit, and the professional development and tools that we provide are great. Debishi, thank you for reminding us that so we have the ICF Global Impact Coaching Impact Awards for organizations, but we are very honored and privileged that ICF India has what we call Prism Awards, and please, we encourage you to go to the ICF India page and take a look at the awards for organizations of companies in India, and certainly we have great examples of that, and we recognize the best in class throughout the world, as well as specifically in India, and there are many examples of that. So we encourage you to visit that. Another question is, who should own to drive the coaching culture? Should it be driven by the business or CEO or by human resources? Who is the custodian of organizational culture? We'd like to take that. Mr. Singh, do you want to give us some perspective?
Sure. Well, developing a culture is not something which is a responsibility of only one individual. It's a collective responsibility of the leadership team, in which CEO plays a very, very important role. So actually, it starts from there. CHRO, as a HR leader, plays a facilitator role and as a process owner. And it is the responsibility of CEO and CHRO to galvanize the entire leadership to develop a particular type of culture. When it comes to developing a coaching culture, I remember at JK organization, entire leadership team comprising of CEOs of various businesses, HR heads of various businesses, and the group CHRO. All these people together drove the coaching culture. Therefore, it's not something which could be said that, look, culture is the responsibility of CHRO and the business head or the business leadership team doesn't have anything to do with that. That will be wrong, because at the end of the day, the culture or coaching culture has to be an integral agenda of the business. It has to be an integral part of the organization. Therefore, it's a collective responsibility of the leadership.
So everyone is responsible for the growth of the coaching culture and sort of engagement and within the organization. Magda, you wanted to comment?
Because what Mr. Singh said is so important. The executive sponsorship of coaching program is a must, or it's uphill. It's uphill if there is not an explicit support and executive sponsorship of coaching. What I hear a lot, and I'm sure you live in that space, that many CHROs may be more familiar with coaching and may want to bring coaching to their respective organizations. And this is exactly a little bit of a barrier that they face. That being, how do I convince the big boss that this is a good thing? How do I start? As Mr. Singh was talking earlier, maybe just start small rather than try to implement huge program, probably not very inexpensive, in an entire organization. So I hope that you would use the examples from our ICF India Prism Awards, that you use examples from our Impact Awards. Those case studies, I think, could be quite instrumental in painting the picture for the boss, because coaching is not nice to have anymore. It is must have. It is strategic and gives actually an strategic advantage to the organization over their competitors. And what's also important, as we said, is it is a business proposition. We know from the studies that organizations with coaching culture have much greater engagement of their employees, and that translates into bottom line almost directly and immediately. So it's strategic and it's a business proposition. So, and maybe there is some, need to demystify how difficult it is to implement coaching culture or how expensive it is. These are things that can be definitely discussed and again structured appropriately to the size and the scope of the organization. But very important with that commitment that is throughout the organization, as Prem Singh said. It's not just one person. It can't be. one person responsible for coaching culture in an organization.
Wonderful. And there's a question about what's the relationship with business growth? And they'd like for you to elaborate. Mr. Prinzing, any thoughts around how can we help the growth of the business? Magda, you certainly referenced engagement and productivity. What else can we look at?
Okay.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I can. Sure. Sorry, please go ahead.
Typically, when coaching is being brought to the organization, yes, it does have this aspect and very important aspect of bringing, especially nowadays after pandemic, to bring the aspect of well-being to the organization. But ultimately, the majority of organizations, especially private and even public, do have a business objective to themselves. So coaching is aligned with those business objectives. In fact, it has to be. Otherwise, they're just trying to implement the projects that maybe not helping each other. Coaching is to build the business, and it is up to the coaches and the whoever is in charge of the program within the organization to figure out what are the elements of the current structure that can be enhanced through coaching so that ultimately business outcome is better than what it is now. So aligned with strategic plan of the organization and aligned with the strategic objectives of the organization. That's the must.
Mr. Singh, you wanted to add business growth? Some comments around that?
Yeah, thank you. So based on the experience of JK organization with respect to coaching, what we have understood is over a period of time, if you look at metrics like employee engagement, attrition, innovation index, creativity, which is reflected in a lot of projects across the organizations, you can very well see the linkage between those organizations, those units where the coaching culture is stronger, and you can see the correlation with respect to stronger business results. What we have seen, those units where the coaching has been used extensively, the employee engagement scores are much better, attrition rates are much lower, people are generally engaged, driving a lot of innovation projects. There are a lot of cross-functional teams, and therefore it reflects in the business results. That's number one. Number two, very important point I wish to mention, coaching is not something which is a problem fixation tool. It's for growth of the organization. It's for realizing your business objectives. And it's for helping the individuals who have potential to realize their potential truly and deliver at a higher level. So it's an enabling tool, it's a positive tool, and therefore it can be leveraged by the organizations to really deliver at a much higher level. So as opposed to the popular perception, it's really an enabling tool.
So great, wonderful, thank you. So I think we're individuals, participants are getting excited about our conversation because one of the questions is, so what are the qualifications required to become a coach? Where can I get training? What kind of experience do you need for coaching? Which is wonderful. I think we're really getting individuals excited about coaching. Magda, you want to tell and then thank you so much for Diptishi for putting those links up there with some additional information. But Magda, tell us a little about becoming a coach.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we have little helper here. Um, so let me start with the fact that maybe answering the last part of this question, and what is the necessary previous experience. There is no necessary previous experience to become a coach. Coaching is a profession. We consider it a profession, and therefore we believe that anyone can attempt to become a coach. Like with any other profession, some are better than the others. Some may have innate skill than the other. But what we believe is necessary to be a coach is to be well trained. And that training is an absolutely critical first step in becoming a coach. On our website, you can see the list of couple of thousands of coaching education providers, many of them available virtually, other in person. So this is the first step. And quite frankly, this is the requirement for being an ICF member. One cannot join ICF Global until they are trained with at least 60 hours of coach-specific training. And then, of course, we hope that everybody will enter, or most everybody will enter the path of becoming credentialed. Credentials are the sign of commitment and also external evaluation. So we recommend very much that people seek that credential. And as I mentioned earlier, this lifelong learning, that's something that's so critical. Therefore, we require for our credential holders to renew their credentials with additional educational hours. Right now, there are universities that offer degrees in coaching. We believe that in addition to theory, practice is also very important. So that practical part of delivering the coaching service is also something that is important. What I would suggest, of course, our website, I mentioned it a couple of times, but we do have chapters in India. We have Steve Wise, where are you when I need you? I think we have 6 chapters in India. You can find them easily on our website. So reach out to our colleagues there. They can tell you experience firsthand of how to become a coach. That they may invite you to the chapter meeting, just so you can get a little more vibe about coaching culture within coaching organization.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Prinzing. If you would, final thoughts and comments, and then we will wrap this up right on time.
Well, just one more input I can share with the audience. Typically, what we do in the JK organization, in addition to regular coaching that we do, when we are looking at promotions and we identify people for potential growth, potential higher responsibilities, we do identify some of the individuals and take them through the coaching program. What it does is it gets them ready for the higher level of responsibilities, and it makes them even more effective in their next role. So that's another way how we have used coaching at JK Group.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I want to thank our esteemed panelists, Mr. Prinzing and Ms. Magdalena Mook, for this really engaging conversation around really talking about the nuances between coaching and mentoring, and so much more about creating a coaching culture. We're very excited again about our partnership, ICF, with NHRD, and looking forward to continued collaboration and research. Please, as Magda mentioned, reach out to our chapters in India, participate in NHRD events. We'd love to continue this great conversation. Magda, any final thoughts?
Oh, it's just really so great to see so many of you at this meeting. Very grateful for organizing this conversation. I believe that HR is such a strong support, crucial and critical support for organizations and people within organizations to thrive. And as such, I think that that connection between coaching and HR is just prone for further growth. And also, I believe that coaching is needed for HR because, guys, you are supporting everybody. So let somebody support you as well, and that may offer just a little different angle to how you can be the best of yourself supporting others. So thank you for this conversation. I am sure it's just the first in many.
Thank you. Thank you to all of the participants. Thanks for all the questions, Mr. Singh. Please, your final thoughts.
Thank you. Well, all I can say is that thank you, ICF, for the collaboration with National HRD Network. India offers enormous potential for use of coaching. Personally, I have seen the power of coaching. It's a very effective tool of leadership development, and most importantly, very progressive tool which helps the organization achieve their business objectives. So thank you once again, ICF, and looking forward to many more such engagements in the future. Together, I'm sure we'll be able to make a difference. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Robert, for moderating
Thank you.
us.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.